Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. I hope you're all very well tonight. Wow, we're up to 121 viewers. That's fantastic. So please hit that like button. So I'm just going to go through who's on the stream tonight. Hopefully I'll be able to say hello to everyone. I'll try my best. So we have Pete. Great to see you, Pete. Keller, great to have you on moderating as always. Thank you very much for doing all of that. Conservator, great to see you. Dude, great to have you on. No. NSFW shaming. We have Archangel, great to see you, Archangel. Akismad, great to have you on again. Michael Curry, great to see you. We have Ministerian, great to see you, Ministerian. Kevin, great to have you on. We have Jacob, great to see you, Jacob. Hope you're well. Magister, great to see you once again. Tom, great to have you on, Tom, moderating. We have, who else? Dano, great to see you, Dano. Giorgio, great to see you. Hope you're well. Let's see, we have the sauerkraut. I love sauerkraut. We have Belfast, great to see you once again, Belfast. Christian, great to see you. We have James, great to have you on, James. Hey Max, hope you're well. Absolutely love hearing your musings on the chaos unfolding around the world right now. Thank you very much. God bless you too. Catherine, great to see you. Kevin, great to have you on. CJM, great to see you on the stream. Glenn, great to have you on. No DLC, great to see you. We have Wisconsin Dog, great to see you, Wisconsin Dog. Min in Malta, great to have you on. Magus, great to see you. Eddie, great to have you on. Kevin, I think I said hello to Kevin already. If I didn't, hello Kevin. If I did, apologies. Spindrift, great to see you. Kenny, great to have you on. FSM is the dog. It certainly is. Jamie, great to see you. Eddie, I think I said hello already to Eddie. Barry, Trevo. English Viking, great to have you on again. Mary Flanagan, great to have you on. Nider, Derek Nima, great to see you. And I'll just go very quickly because we're up to 155 viewers. That's fantastic. Artuzu Music, Franz Booth Web Design, great to have you on. Ian and I also saw Macs are better than PCs. Obidon, Luke. Okay, so a big hello to everyone. Apologies if I haven't said hello to you. Sem Priest Rhetoric, great to see you. I hope everyone is very well. So the theme of the stream tonight, of course, is Brexit and what's happening in the United States. So some big Brexit news, and maybe some of you haven't seen the video I uploaded yesterday, I think it was. Artemis, great to have you on the stream. It was about Boris Johnson's secret weapon, Tony Abbott. So we're going to read a little bit about Tony Abbott and how he could be maybe a game changer or maybe not for Brexit. This is an article about Tony Abbott. If you don't know, he used to be the Prime Minister of Australia, and he has said some controversial things in the past. Herbie, great to have you on, Herbie. So it says here, one nation mad monk is another's trade champion. Boris Johnson is rumoured to have appointed former Aussie Prime Minister Tony Abbott to help drum up trade deals for Britain as an advisor to the UK's relaunched Board of Trade. So just go down here. The choice of the 60-year-old Abbott, who earned the nickname Mad Monk at university and Tear Down Tony in politics, has been met with raised eyebrows. On the one hand, roping in former Australian Prime Minister to advise the UK on how to secure a trade deal with countries including the one he once led, a bit briefly, seems a no-brainer. On the other hand, the former Prime Minister in question is more famous for being on the receiving end of anti-misogyny speeches than negotiating complicated trade pacts. Once again, and I mentioned that in the video yesterday about how, you know, he what does he bring to the table? What does Tony Abbott bring to the table? Does he bring experience? No. Does he bring contacts? Perhaps. You know, it's not sure that he actually still has contacts around the world that he could call up and help the UK with a trade deal. That's not really how it works. You have negotiating teams who are trained to do this. It doesn't really work, you know, it's not like in the movies or how, you know, Donald Trump pretends it is, that you just make a few phone calls and then you have your trade deal. It doesn't really work like that. It's much more complicated. And while, you know, Abbott is not someone to dismiss completely, he is a strange choice. Mr. Spoon says, Abbott was born in the UK. I didn't actually know that. I thought he was born in Australia. I don't know if that was a problem for Australians to have a foreigner running their country. Tony Abbott is beloved by Sky News Australia, and I know Sky News Australia is very different to Sky News UK. I think Sky News UK is reasonably impartial, and they challenge the government on every occasion. Sky News Australia is worse than Fox News in America. They're basically as if Nigel Farage was given a channel. That's what it's like. Depends. I have as much hard power as US. Trade deals are like getting your marriage license. It takes time, lots of begging, lots of crying, a few ceremonies and bribing a few Catholics. He brings the hatred of immigrants. We fit right into the Bojo team, yes. With all the people in the UK that voted Tory, they have to go to go antipodian to find another racist, another fascist, sorry. Skills and knowledge have never been a requirement for any Tory job. No, you're exactly right there, Conservative. As I said in the video, he's maybe been anti-immigrant and anti-asylum seeker and anti-ethnic minority in Australia, and being a misogynist made him almost overqualified for Boris Johnson's government. Colourful background and British ties. So he was born in 1957 in London to an Australian mother and British father. Abbott's family, isn't it funny, how he's so anti-immigrant? Well, his mother was an immigrant to the UK, but that's okay. And then he was an immigrant back to Australia. Abbott's family moved to Sydney when he was 2. Abbott graduated with degrees in economics and law from the University of Sydney before returning to the UK to study politics and philosophy at Oxford on a Rhodes scholarship. He was a middling student, but a top boxer and right-wing organiser. If only Boris Johnson got into boxing. After uni, Abbott headed back to Scotland, to Sydney, to train as a priest. So I mentioned that he was considering becoming a priest, but quitting the ceremony to become a journalist. In 1994, he was elected to the Australian Federal Parliament as a Conservative Liberal Party member, which I always found weird. Why in Australia is the Liberal Party actually conservative? There's nothing liberal about them. They're not even really conservative at this stage. They're hard right. Which must confuse the hell out of, for example, Donald Trump. Donald Trump, the Prime Minister of Australia, is on the phone. And which party is he from? He's from the Liberal Party. Hang up the phone immediately. Although he's no longer Prime Minister. So, along the way, Abbott has become an Ironman triathlon and surf lifesaver. Very good. A volunteer firefighter who recently blew off cabinet meetings to put out blazes. A minister for health who said he wouldn't be rushing out to get his daughter vaccinated against cervical cancer. Very good. Very right. Okay. A mixed bag here. He found a long lost son and then lost him again. Okay. Probably the son discovered, your father is the prime minister. I'm never contacting him. Ate a raw onion. Not something recommended. Smoked marijuana, but didn't inhale. What is this about? Boomer politicians? Yeah. When I was younger, I smoked marijuana, but I didn't inhale. Oh, well then that's okay then. But what's that got to do with anything? I'm not going to go into marijuana legalization tonight. Graham, thank you very much for that super chat. If you have a question, stick it in the chat. I'll prioritize a response to it. Thank you very much for that super chat. It was great to talk to you on Discord today. We don't agree on everything, but it's a great place to have a discussion. So Nigel Farage will have a channel soon, probably. Became Prime Minister in 2013, named himself Minister for Women. Okay. That was not a good choice. Repealed the carbon price. Then said repealing the carbon price was his top priority, top achievement as Minister for Women. I'm going to become a Minister of Women to repeal the carbon price. Okay. To hell with women. I want to become the Minister for Women. But what do I need to do about women? What do I need to do about helping women? It's about the carbon tax or price that I'm dealing with. I'm concerned with. Reintroduced knighthoods to Australia. Why? Then gave one to Prince Philip. I didn't know this. I'm reading this for the first time. He gave Prince Philip a knighthood. Now, on the surface, if you're going like, well, what's wrong with that? He's a prince. A knight is slightly lower than a prince. Okay. Doesn't seem to understand the royal family, but I'm not someone who's, the best person to talk about the royal family. Let's see. Lost the prime ministership in 2015 in a party room coup. Then waged a years-long revenge campaign. Yes, I think he was prime minister from 2013 to 2015, so he never served his full term. Whoops, something disappeared for a moment. Fair weather Brexit here. So this is interesting. Given the celebrations of Brexit, Britain's Eurosceptic corner of the news, Abbott's impending appointment, you'd think he was a Brexiteer running through the vein. You'd think he had Brexit running through his veins. In fact, he backed Remain ahead of the UK's EU referendum. In the Times published in April 2016, he wrote, "Britain's challenge now is to save Europe, not leave it." I agree to a certain extent, yes. Yet just a few months after, Abbott claimed he was quite thrilled that the British people had resolved to claim back their country. It was just a hop, skip, and a pragmatic jump to supporting no-deal Brexit, which Abbott advocated for in the Tory Bible, The Spectator, in 2019, column titled "No Deal, No Problem." He's very close to Boris Johnson here. The way Boris Johnson wrote 2 letters, one supporting Remain and the other supporting Leave. And then as Leave won, then he would say, "Yeah, I'm a Brexiteer now." I think they're going to get on pretty well. We're both hypocrites. We're both racists. We're both not big fans of immigrants, and we both changed our mind. We've both changed our mind on Brexit. As a former prime minister of a country that has a perfectly satisfied no-deal relationship with the EU, no, they're not satisfied. That's why they're having at the moment, trying to work out a trade deal. They're not happy with the relationship regarding trade they have with the EU. Let me assure you, no deal would be no problem. Yes, but Australia and the UK are completely different countries, different economies. So the UK not having a deal is not the same as as Australia not having a deal. He wrote cheerily, and so the term trading on Australian terms was born. So this is where it came from. It's worth noting that Australia is scrambling to negotiate its own trade agreement with the EU at this very moment. Yes, we don't need a deal, but the current government wants to get a deal because they're not happy with the deal that they have, which is no deal. Trade experts and economists were apoplectic. They were slamming his views as embarrassing and voodoo economics. And a certain fellow, former Remainer, appeared to have taken notice. If I highlight. In the link it says Boris Johnson. So I was right. He fights bushfires, okay, and reckons climate change might even be beneficial. Okay, so he's a lunatic. Crazy or crazy like a fox. As I said in the video, what does he bring? He brings persona. He brings perception. You know, the Tories will say, look, we have the former Prime Minister of Australia backing us. You know, he's our new trade envoy. George, thank you very much for that super chat. Thank you very much. If you have a question, I'll respond to it. But he doesn't bring anything to the table. As I said, just persona, just this perception of, you know, wow, we have the Prime Minister of Australia, ex-Prime Minister of Australia. Someone was saying that, I think it was on Discord, was saying that, you know, who will be next? Will it be Bolsonaro for international, international relations, perhaps, or environmental protection? Maybe Steve Bannon could be hired for, I don't know, construction, or I don't know, Department of Infrastructure. I don't know. He hates women, so how will he get on with Pretty? Let me read some of your comments. Thank you very much once again to George and Graham for your super chats. We only have 75 likes. That's not on, guys. Hit that like button. Let me see. Almost 250 legend watching. Not even 100 likes. Hamsters deserve better. Yes, they do. Thank you very much for that comment, Tom. Is he the right type of immigrant then? Is he able to pay? Does he have the money to stay? Will he be, you know, minimum wage? Will he be picking strawberries if he doesn't, you know, doesn't fill his position to the best of his ability? I guess Berlusconi will be recruited to chase the youth vote. Yes. It's funny, I haven't heard anything about Berlusconi in the last 2 or 3 years. He may be dead at this. No, I don't want him to be dead, of course, but he may be. I haven't heard anything from him. You know, his party pretty much doesn't exist anymore, and he's not in Parliament. I haven't seen anything from him in Parliament. So Trump will Trump be hired for the daughter vote? Love the idea, Marilena, but not at the moment, I'm afraid. I miss Marilena's comment. Pretty loves Gavin Wilson's whip. That's really weird thing. Okay, so I want to. This is a very interesting article. I want to read a little bit from. It's from Owen Jones, who is a columnist for the Guardian, and he's a commentator, a public commentator, and it's something that I pretty much agree with. So it says here, right-wing press is trying to bully workers back to the office. Today, the Daily Telegraph carried a front-page advert for Britain's embattled trade union movement. Not intentionally, but not intentionally, you understand. But this morning's splash, "Go back to work or risk losing your job," is the punchiest recent illustration of a need for workers to collectively organise. Thanks to the British government's bungling response to the pandemic, including, of course, the initial decision to delay lockdown in a self-defeating attempt to protect the economy, many workers are reasonably concerned about the consequences of a premature dash to the office. These workers may have noticed, for instance, that their country has been one of the world's worst hit, with England posting Europe's highest rate of excessive deaths in the first months of the crisis. As a result, they may be naturally skeptical of this government's competence when it comes to controlling the pandemic and protecting their families. This whole idea of just sending people back to work, it's nonsensical. So the pandemic is not under control. The number of deaths are way down. Yes, I agree 100% with that. But the pandemic is not under control. There is this idea of we need to send people back into the office. Why? Well, because they, during their break, go out and buy coffees and sandwiches. And we need to make sure that these places that sell coffees and sandwiches can remain open. Now, I've talked about this before, how this is not the way to deal with the problem. By forcing people back into work. It's not going to work that way. First of all, people are afraid to go back. And those who do go back, the numbers are not going to be sufficient to maintain a lot of these grab-and-go businesses. Pret a Manger is laying off, I think, about 3,000 of its staff and closing about 30 of its stores. Because there is no business left. And even if you try to force people back, it's going to take time before those businesses can recoup the losses from the pandemic. We need to look at this from another angle. I'm not going to start talking about UBI again, I promise. But we need to look at it from another angle. Glasgow Kiss, Nicola Sturgeon put out a statement urging companies not to bully employees back to work. Expect Boris's statement next week. You can't be bullying staff back into work. And the idea that this is almost an advertisement for trade unions, I agree. Companies are not looking after their staff when they're forcing them back into work. The right-wing media and politicians would say, we need people to go back to work to save the economy. Reset the clock. It's not grab and go. It's queue for half your lunch break in a crowded shop and rush it down before you're due back at the desk. Very good. No DLC. It's the Tory landlords that own the office buildings, afraid that the companies would prefer employees working from their home, therefore will not get future rent. And that was a very interesting call that James O'Brien had with one of these site managers, one of these office managers, who said he's been laid off because companies who have these offices have decided, for me, it's better not to pay £20,000-30,000 a month for the rent. It's much cheaper for me to keep these people at home. So I don't need to pay all this money when I have people at home. Tories, Zenerman, thank you very much for that super chat. Tories are mostly concerned about commercial property values. Yeah, this is... you have the landlords who are worried about, okay, well, if the businesses are not filling up these offices, well, we're going to have to cut the rent. And then if you have property, especially, like, for example, in a city centre, which is extremely valuable, if you're not able to rent it, then you'll have to sell it. If you have to sell it and everyone else is selling it, then the property value will drop. And they're concerned about that. So they want people to get back into the office, not because they care about the economy, not because they care about the workers, because they care about renting out these buildings, they care about selling these buildings, or they care about profiting. It's not about the staff. It's not about the pandemic itself. Anthony C. says MGM resorts in America, casinos, are laying off 18,000 employees. The marketplace is broken. And we need to look at this in a very difficult way. We need to look at it, take off the blinkers and realize that this system is not sustainable. GOB is a Tory at heart. Don't be fooled, says Spindrift. Really? There are some things that James O'Brien I disagree with on, especially when it came to Jeremy Corbyn. So I disagree with him on Jeremy Corbyn. I'm not going to go into that again. I've talked about it before. But we can't maintain a system where we have tower blocks, skyscrapers, empty. We need to change. We're realizing that people can work from home, so it's not necessary to have these skyscrapers. And if they're going to be empty, of course, rents will drop, and then the price of these buildings will drop. Rubbish. JOB is very pro poor person, pro people, pro poor people. I agree. The things I disagree with him on is mainly internal politics of the Labour Party. All these empty offices could be better used to accommodate homeless and asylum seekers. Dragonic now, don't be excessive, okay? Slow down now. Accommodating homeless people and asylum seekers now, really, don't go overboard. I'm being sarcastic. Yes. They're high quality offices. They could provide extremely suitable accommodation to the homeless and asylum seeker population. But they definitely wouldn't want to do that. If the system is broken, let's change it. Let me help with the monetary system. I agree. Welcome aboard, Christian. We need a vaccine. Jazzy Jazzer. We Scott's dog. Jazzy Jazzer. It's not very jazzy. But it's weird how the right wing continually bring up his brother. Anyway, just want to read a little bit more about this. For some reason, the right wing press doesn't regard this as a tough verdict. Tough verdict on the pathetic performance of its good friends in government. Rather than pin the blame on number 10, the Tory papers have decided to accuse the public of failing its masters while attempting to bully workers back into the office. It surely deserves a response. It does. But this is the Tory policy 101, is blame anyone but us. Blame the public because they didn't follow the rules, even though we didn't give correct rules on dealing with the pandemic. Blame the European Union if we don't get a trade deal, even though we haven't been, willing to negotiate properly with the European Union. If the economy crashes, blame the pandemic and not how we have been underfunding public services over the last number. Yes, of course, the pandemic is a big chunk of the problem, but allowing people to recover from that requires government intervention. The problem is that the Tories want, in a way, I think some people within the Conservative Party and the government itself want to intervene, want to prop up the economy, but they're afraid at the same time because if they go too far, they'll be, branded as socialists and they'll lose their jobs. One round of applause for the landlords. Why pay rent when you can clap? I don't like home office. In my home, I don't want to be remembered of my work. It's my private space. I agree with that. those who have large homes, and I saw something beautiful. It was not actually from this year, but it was from a couple of years ago in the UK, where people would have their home office in the garden. They had a little wooden shack in the garden. In there, they had a comfortable chair. They had a picture of their family, a computer, printer, whatever. And when the day was over, they would leave the little shack, lock the door, walk whatever it was, 10 meters, and go back into the home, and then they were stopped. They had finished work for the day. Now, that was quite quaint at the time, but now it's not really possible because we're so connected with smart devices and smartphones and whatever. So even if you sit on the sofa watching TV, you're probably still working in a sense. The rich can afford to be poor. That's a very good comment. Thank you for that, George. Has Boris blamed his milkman yet? When he gets out of the fridge, then he blamed the milkman. JOB is an orphan and with some empathy. You do not get empathy from Tories. Agreed. Here's the key to the problem. How can New York afford to have buildings empty? They can't. So they'll have to either cut the costs they'll have to cut rents, or they'll have to reduce the price of the buildings. But the problem is that some very wealthy landlords can just sit it out. They would prefer the buildings to be empty than to have what they would call as lower level clientele. They don't want tenants in there paying less. They would prefer them empty than actually have people in, because once you have people in, then it's difficult to get them out, or there are probably taxes you have to pay, but if you're claiming, look, I'm not earning any rent, then you don't have to pay any taxes on that. I'm not an expert on that, but if you have people in, even if you're just earning a little bit, you have to pay taxes on that, and it's probably a problem for some of these people. So they would prefer in many cases just to have the buildings empty. Tiny Demolition Lover, welcome to the stream. Forgot it's Friday today. Thought it was Thursday. I actually thought today was Saturday at one stage. That'd be a bit embarrassing. I started my employment as a manager in an office with 8 PCs running, 4860X chips. Wow. Retro. Now my 2 desktops are 10 times more powerful, and I have disk space. More disk space than project output at home. Yeah, we have the technology to work from home, and I think give tools like Zoom or Skype another few years. Sorry, I'm hitting things around here. Another few years of development, and you will have much better integration between the office and the home. Home office was driving me crazy. Great to start with when the novelty wore off. GOB stuck the boot into Corbyn because he was useless as an opposition leader. End of story. It's just some of the anti-Semitism comments that he was making about the Labour Party and Jeremy Corbyn, which sort of rubbed me the wrong way. But apart from that, I think I agree with him on everything. What happened to the banks if the commercial landlords can't pay their mortgages? The banks are in trouble, Rumpelstiltskin. If they can't pay, we could see. I think there's another economic crisis coming. Where how it hasn't happened this year, I'm surprised. Maybe it's because governments have propped up industries to a certain extent, but I think after probably next year we're going to see an economic crisis, probably on the level of 2008, 2009. Christian says yes, 2008 creeping back again, because it's not sustainable. So if we look at it from this point of view, let's just even start from the skyscraper. Okay, skyscraper has 4,000 or 5,000 people working in it. Those people, let's say half of them lose their job because there's no more work. The other half stay at home. Those people staying at home, they're not spending money in the economy, so they're not going to bars or restaurants, takeaway, whatever. Those businesses close. The people employed in those businesses Some of them are laid off. They stay at home. They're not paying into the economy. So this has a ripple effect. And that's just one building, for example. So you're going to, and then as you see, businesses that provide services to the ones who are providing the service to the skyscraper, for example, they're going to lose out as well. So with the fall of one industry or the fall of one provider of cash to the local economy, it has a huge impact on the rest of the economy in the surrounding area. Here, for example, to give you an example, here in Italy, or where I live in Italy, there is an airport that was basically set up because Ryanair wanted to fly into this area of Italy, but not to Venice, because Venice was more expensive. So they were able to get priority to this airport just outside Venice. And if any of you have come to Venice by plane, you probably know the airport I'm talking about. But this airport is closed until October. And when you drive around near the airport, you can see how everything has stopped. All the small bars and restaurants that were working around the airport, and the hotels, they're all closed. The parking, for example, there was a parking service. So you went there, you parked your car, you paid, I think it was 10 or 15 euros per day, and then you would pick up your car at the end. That industry is pretty much closed down as well. I don't know how they're surviving. I don't know how the bars and restaurants are surviving, the hotels in the area are surviving. And this is a very small airport, but it provides a huge amount of money for the local economy. Now, the airport would probably open in October, but I don't know if... very good, Ted Crilly, Treviso. But if it opens in October, it's going to take a long time before it comes back to any resemblance of normality. Let me read some more of your comments. The thing is that people who WFH still pay for things just locally instead of some Pret a Manger franchise. Yeah, I think people will still go out and buy coffees or whatever, but it'll be during their own free time. It's not during the work time that's provided by the company or in the area of where the company was working. You know, you go to your local cafe or bar or sandwich place. Hit the like button, folks. So we need 258 of you. Smash that like button before the end of the stream. Yes, please do. Anthony C says, in California, many neighbors are using their pool house as a home office. It is air conditioned, has a bathroom and internet. It's a hard life. Yes. Michael, Michelle, bonjour. Michelle Barney is on the stream for the Tony Abbott Education Fund. Bonjour, monsieur. And I will stop there with my French. My French is terrible. So it's a great pleasure to have Michel Barnier on the stream. I know he has a lot of things to be doing. He should be back dealing with the negotiations, but the negotiations seem to have been cancelled. So he has some free time, and he has decided to pop on the stream here. It's a great pleasure to have him on. The local store, the local store for local people. Okay. Just to read a small bit more from this. So this idea, once again, that the Tories are blaming workers. Get back to work, and it's really annoying when I see this type of commentary on. I lost the page for a moment. When I see this type of commentary on talk radio, the likes of what's his name, Mike Graham, or the other lady, saying, "Get back to work. You need to get back to work. Why are you staying at home?" Yes, because many people don't have a choice. They have to go back to work. So they don't have the possibility to go back to work because their boss says you have to stay at home. Also, Michelle Barney, I hope you have registered that as an official expense. I don't want you to get into trouble. But this idea of saying, people have to be given the choice whether to go back to work or not, and you can't force them back into work. If the boss says you can't work, or if you have to stay at home because there is no job, you can't force people back. But also this idea of just go back to work to save the economy. It's not about saving the economy. It's about saving profits. The Tories are funded by people who have a lot of money invested in real estate, in private property. They don't want to lose money if rents drop. They don't want to lose money if the price of the value of these buildings decreases. They want the workers to go back in. I talked about this before with Witherspoons, Mr. Martin from Witherspoons. He said if people don't go back to work, we'll fire them. The same with the plumbers. If people don't go back to work, we'll fire them. Even though people are concerned about going back to work, we don't care. Get back to work because I want a new yacht. 40 years of dog-eat-dog individualism from politicians and the press has left a profound impact on our culture, persuading many Britons that poverty, unemployment and other social injustices are really just personal failings. And this has been something, this article is on fire. I agree with it 100%. This idea that if you're poor, it's your fault. If you can't find a job, it's your fault. If you're, homeless, it's your fault. No consideration about how wealth plays a role in this, how corruption plays a role in this. If if your dad went to Eton and you went to Eton, probably your children are going to go to Eton as well. Most people who are rich, I'm not saying everyone, it's the case for everyone, but most people who are rich because they inherited that wealth. It's very difficult to become rich from nothing. I'm not saying these people don't exist, but the reason we are shocked or surprised when these people start from, the reason why a rags to riches story is so fascinating and so interesting is because it's not normal, because it's not the typical situation that people go through. It's like, the same reason why the Tory newspapers like the Daily Mail or the Sun publish stories about people living on welfare, traveling around the world on a holiday. If everyone could do it, then it wouldn't be a story. Very good point, Artemis. They inherit it or they marry it. And then their children inherit that, and the children don't have to work to the same extent as everyone else. In Britain, the attitude is you live to work. On the continent, it's you work to live. And I think we're starting to move in that direction, I hope, David. What is the point in working, and then dropping dead? You'll be the most productive man or woman in the cemetery. HS2 is supposed to be opening up the north. It's not. It's just a new commuter route to London. 948 max. I don't understand that comment. Michelle is full out as well. Take me to the continent, please. It's yes, the Lucky Sperm Club. The birth lottery. I don't know who it was. It may have been Sam Harris, but I could be wrong here. Could be completely wrong. But somebody said that I want to be born into a society where I don't know my race, my ethnicity, my gender, my economic status. That would be the perfect society, where if you're born again, you're not born again in the Christian sense, but if you were reincarnated, that it wouldn't matter where you went. because everyone would be treated the same. That's the type of society this person would like to have, and I agree with that. Talk radio is trash. It's absolute trash. That's why I always try to respond to it. It's the same radio the media hates millionaire black footballers who suddenly become immensely wealthy. Yeah, if you're rich and you want to, if you're poor and you want to look after, you want the government to look after people, it's because you're bitter. If you're rich and you want the government to look after people, it's because you're a hypocrite. See above regarding 84948. I'll have to check it later. He goes on to say, if the pandemic is not under control and the economy is not coming back to life, it must not be the fault of lazy workers, illegal raves, and overcrowded night spots. But protecting workers is a popular cause. A new poll shows that 47% of people believe businesses where staff are working at home should not be encouraging them to return to the office. It's still quite low, 47%. So it means that more than half of people think it's a good idea for people to be sent back, with 31% dissenting. Okay, well, so I'm correcting myself. It's the other way around. It's 31% believe that people should be returning to the office, and 47%. I imagine the difference is people who don't know. But why would even 31% of people say that, yes, you should be forced back into the office? I guess they're the people who read the Daily Mail and listen to talk radio. Strikingly, opposition is even more overwhelming in the working age population, with just pensioners apparently happy to impose decisions on others that do not affect them in support. Yes, it's, once again, the people who voted for Brexit, the majority of people who voted for Brexit were in an older category. And they were not going to be really impacted by Brexit. The people saying, get back to work, you lazy good for nothing, are generally going to be the older generation. That's quite sad, because they should understand what it's like to work. They should understand the sacrifices that have to be made to balance work life and family life. But I think some of them, I'm not criticizing the older generation, but I think some people in the older generation tend to think that young people today have it all easy. But that's not the case. The younger generation, Lenahan, thank you very much for that kind donation. The younger generation have it much more difficult today. Go back 50 years and it was possible for a family consisting of a husband, wife, and a number of kids to be able to buy a house on one salary. Now you have couples who are working maybe 2 or 3 jobs or doing some type of extra work who aren't able to afford to buy a house. They're able to pay the rent, but they're not able to put money down and buy that actual house. And if they are able to buy something, it's a bed sit, or it's a 2-bedroom apartment at most. But it's not a family house. It's not a single, a detached or even semi-detached house. Those times have passed. And more people, of course, are working in the gig economy, so it's even more difficult for them to make ends meet. Saving is out of the question. Just started watching 1.5 speed from beginning. Was asked for a like. Fair enough. Thought I'll put in a comment to what? No comments. I put it in the chat instead. Okay. Welcome to the stream, BG. The wealthy appear to be generous. Religious leader Jerry Falwell shared his wife with the pool boy for several years and watched to make sure the date was done. Oh my God, Anthony C. Praise the Lord. Oh my god. I have to try to moderate your comments because I start laughing and I won't be able to read anymore. My father is a Brexiteer in his mid-80s, nothing to lose, mortgage paid, great company pension, no problems, but damn foreigners coming here. That's probably his response, Pete. No, I'm not putting words in his mouth, but most of the people who voted for Brexit, not all, but most, was because they didn't like foreigners. You know, coming here, taking our jobs and our women. But against that, there are more cheaper consumer items travel these days available. People are able to travel more. So, like, I remember when I was a kid growing up in the 80s, the idea of traveling to the United States was out of the question. It was only the rich who traveled to the United States for a holiday. But now it's much more accessible. Go Anthony, go break the book. Maxon, do you think additional austerity, if the banks seek another bailout, will result in an increase in global populism? Yes, it would. Austerity doesn't help. Now, the UK is probably an exception, but in most countries where austerity has been imposed, the results have been extremely negative politically. So it does fan the flames of populism, because you have these politicians are telling you what to do. We are the ones who will respond to your needs. And of course, those groups, normally when they're on the right, the populist groups on the right, will find it's not the politicians who are taking your money, it's the foreigners, or it's a certain religion is taking your money, or the European Union, or the corrupt politicians from the previous government, not us, of course. Sorry, that was an Irish question. It was down to Michael. Also trying to post links regular. Okay. Immigration will not end. Just the countries where the people will come from will change. Less European, more non-European. They want everyone back to work because they don't like change. GC, I don't know if that's true. I don't think it's about they don't like change. Those are the ones who are on talk radio, for example. They don't like change. But I think the real ones behind it are the ones who believe. So I just read some of the chat messages. Do I hear an Irish accent? Yes, you do. Top of the morning to you, Tom. I lost my train of thought there. No, the people who want you to go back into the offices care about the bottom line. They have a profit to maintain or a profit to make, and you need to get your arse back into the office. COVID or no COVID. A religious question, where is the Pope? He seems to be very quiet and not seen much. I thought churches were involved during the crisis. That's interesting. It's an interesting question, Auntie. Yeah, I haven't seen anything from the Pope recently. I know there was a scare that he may have become infected, but that dissipated after a while. So I don't know. All EU banks got regulated, US banks too. But I know that conservative that the US has rolled back some of the measures or Donald Trump has attempted to roll back some of the measures to regulate the banks in the United States, that were put in place after the last crisis to avoid another crisis. And Donald Trump said, no, let's take away those measures. Let's take away those safety measures, safety mechanisms, because those people gave me money and they want to be able to speculate once again. Okay, guys, I just want to take a little break here, but we're going to, of course, watch a funny video just to lighten the mood, because it's gotten a little bit depressing. So this is Boris Johnson and Simply the Worst. Enjoy.
God, most deaths in Europe, and the biggest recession. Yeah. The hardest hit economy, in all the G7. Oh, we locked down late. Handed contracts to our mates. Insufficient testing and a botched tracing app. No PPE for nurses, but they got a poxy clap. Thank you. Oh, the science changed, as it does when Dom's and Sage.
Herd immunity, fuck everyone.
We're simply the worst. Almost like we rehearsed to be as bad as possible. We even built fake hospitals. Fortunately, I don't care if you live or die. 10 years of austerity, and you lot still voted for me. Waha! Mad how many of you unnecessarily died. Okay. But I'd thank you not to label it a genocide.
Struthwater dance. Boy, I really did a number on you.
We're simply the worst. Almost like we've been cursed. But we're just contemptible. And here that's quite electable. Quick look over there. Bloody massive migrant scare. Remember when you lose your job, it's cause of migrants on the rob. Yeah.
Fantastic. The Ian Duncan Smiths I present. Okay, let's get back to the serious discussion once again. I'll just close that. This is... Oh, I go. Okay, this is a story of another one of Boris Johnson's U-turns. Boris Johnson is doing more U-turns than a person who's lost inside IKEA. Home Office deletes dangerous video attacking activist lawyers. So what happened was the Home Office released a video where they were attacking what they called activist lawyers. So people who were, in their eyes, breaking or twisting the law to allow asylum seekers to remain in the UK, or to at least to stay in the UK for longer than the government wanted. And they were using loopholes in the law, or they were bending the rules at the last minute, for example, to keep people in the UK. And the Law Society wrote a letter to the Home Office and said, this is unacceptable. You need to take this down. People on the right were going crazy about this. How dare they tell the Home Secretary what to do? And then she decided, yeah, okay, we'll take it down. Can't murder lawyers like they used to. Northern Ireland, that's no the LC, that's true. And that's gone. Okay, that was a bit on the nose. Is that Pretty P? It is Pretty P. She is a Pretty P. Activist lawyers, is that a thing? It's this idea that these are not real lawyers. They're lawyers who set themselves up in order to attack the government. They're not interested actually serving their clientele. They're actually more interested just giving the government a bloody nose, or making money out of it. That's probably one of the arguments against them on the right. I've not seen this video. Has it been released? So it was released, but I didn't get a chance to see it. And it was eventually taken down. So I'm not going to show it because even if I do find it, I'm not going to show it on the stream because I think it could be restricted. and it could land me in a position where I'd need an activist lawyer. But let's just read some of the information about this. So it says here, the Home Office has been forced to delete a dangerous quote-unquote video which attacked lawyers for challenging deportations. The clip, posted on social media, targeted activist lawyers who allegedly abuse regulations to protect their clients. It sparked outrage in legal circles and culminated in a formal complaint being lodged by the Law Society. The organization branded the video misleading and dangerous and insisted lawyers defending the rights of asylum seekers were merely doing their jobs. Home Office Permanent Secretary Andrew Rycroft, is that a British name? Does he need to be deported? No, I'm joking. Admitted the phrase activist lawyer should not have been used in the official video, which detailed how the government is working. Then, who creates these videos, they have to be signed off on. It's not like they created the video, they released it, and then the Home Office said, hey, wait a minute, we haven't checked it. Of course they checked it. It was reviewed and reviewed and reviewed. This has, in my eyes, Dominic Cummings' fingerprints all over it. This is the typical thing Dominic Cummings does. Release leak information or release something, see what type of reaction it gets from the public, especially people who support Boris Johnson's government or support Boris Johnson directly, and see how they react to it, get the blood boiling, and then if necessary remove it or deny knowledge of it, or say, look, it was just Ian Duncan Smith, he's not part of the government anymore. So he said it shouldn't have included the phrase activist lawyer. Yeah, that's just bullshit. These things are reviewed, and then they're released. It wouldn't have been, and it has to be signed off probably by the Home Secretary or somebody at a very high level. I made it clear to the team that this post should not be used again from the Home Office accounts or anyone else by civil servants. Although the department conceded the clip should not have been posted, it did not explain why. we messed up. How did you mess up? We're not going to tell you. It also stood firm on its condemnation of lawyers who challenged deportations. So we made a mistake. We shouldn't have put activist lawyers in it, but lawyers who are activists we really don't like. A spokeswoman told the Mirror, the government's efforts to facilitate entirely legitimate and legal returns of people who have entered the UK through illegal routes are often frustrated by last minute challenges submitted hours before a scheduled flight. So that's a problem. If that's a problem for you, that's a problem that you can fix. That's your responsibility to fix. You have the power to fix that. If this could be referred to as a loophole, but who closes the loophole? Is it the lawyers, or is it the elected representatives? Boris Johnson has an 80-seat majority. He has the ability to close these loopholes. I don't know if they're actually loopholes or they're part of the law. I think they're being presented as loopholes that the government want to change, to close. Sorry. These claims are often these claims are very often baseless and entirely without merit, but are given full legal consideration, leading to removal being rescheduled. These can effectively result in the timing out of the return due to stringent Dublin regulations. But if you're not on top of the paperwork, and the removal times out, that's your fault. It's a bit like what Nick Ferrari was. Nick Ferrari. He'd close his loophole. Nick Ferrari had this wonderful idea of, how we'll deal with immigrants refugees coming into the country. we'll have a ship out in the sea, and they'll arrive on the ship, and if they don't have their asylum, we'll give them 24 hours to make an asylum claim. And if they don't make their claim in 24 hours, then they're automatically sent back. Okay, so the people arrive on this ship, and what if like 10,000 or 5,000 people arrive at once? How are you going to process all of these asylum claims in 24 hours? It's impossible. You can't even do it now with even smaller numbers, and you have territory to do it. It's not you're stuck on a ship with a dodgy internet connection. You're on the land and you have the resources available. It's just a distraction. Anyway. Their claims are often baseless and without merit, but are full. Okay, they can effectively time out the Dublin regulations. It is right that we seek to remove migrants who have travelled through a safe country and have no right to remain in the UK. The social media post published on Wednesday night was described as obscene, coming shortly after Mercy Beguma was found dead in Glasgow with her distressed 1-year-old son by her side. It is understood the Ugandan mother had been functionally destitute since losing her right to work when when her right to remain expired. So this was a tragic story of this lady who she was destitute. She had nothing. And she died outside. I'm not sure if it was outside her home or she was inside, but she had nothing. And I don't know all the details, but I just read a little bit about it in The Guardian. And at the same time, you have the Home Office who are responsible for this lady saying, look, there are evil activist lawyers that we need to stamp out. Strathclyde University law professor Paul James Cardwell tweeted, "It's difficult to know where to begin with this obscene clip. A day after a young woman died of extreme poverty after claiming asylum and being unable to work. Current regulations are open to abuse. What abuse? For an immigration-obsessed government in power for 10 years, you might have expected to have solved this if it wasn't such a big issue. Attack on activist lawyers act on behalf of their clients and will use the means allowed in law to get the best results for their clients. But aim here is to cast blame wider than immigrants themselves." And unfortunately, this is part of the Tory plan, is to blame the immigrants and blame the people who are defending the immigrants. They're traitors. Look at them, defending these illegals coming into the country. This is the rhetoric that the Tories and their supporters will use. There's a shocking video. I'm not going to show it, but you can find it on YouTube. Once again, I don't want to share it on the channel because it could create problems. But it's about members of Britain First going into a hotel, banging on the doors of these the rooms of this hotel where refugees are being kept, asylum seekers are being kept, and challenging them. How are you paying for this? Where did you get the money from? Don't you understand that me as a British taxpayer are paying for you to be here? And I wanted to do a response to it, and my response would have been very simple. Why did you support Boris Johnson if you didn't want this? The Tories have been in power for 10 years. And you're not happy with the asylum seekers here. It's not the issue of the asylum seekers. It's the Tories have decided where they go. The Tories, you've seen it, Magister. See my comment, George. George, can you repeat your comment? Apologies. Does Priti Patel truly believe that if she dumps a bunch of nationalist people in Spain, that wouldn't be unlawful in Spain? Well, they don't care. They think. Thanks for that super chat. They don't. She doesn't care. She probably thinks it's perfectly legal to dump people in Spain. Spain is not Britain, so we don't give a crap. Britain First is a terrorist organization, are they not? I don't know if they're actually officially regarded as a terrorist organization. But what's interesting is that Nigel Farage, a few weeks ago, was going to these hotels and demanding to film there. And now you have Britain First going there, entering these buildings, knocking on doors and demanding to know personal information about the people staying there. See, Nigel Farage is like an arsonist. He's like the person who throws the grenade and then runs away, throws the stone, breaks the window and runs away. But just to respond once again to George's comment, she doesn't care whether it's legal or not. And these people will never change, unfortunately. How can people claim asylum without declaring which country they came from? Therefore, declaring where they are deported to if their appeal fails. No, I think they have to declare which country they're from, and if they are deported, they're deported back to the country where they made the claim. And then claims to be a firebrand. And sorry, then claims to be a fire brigade, yes. Tom Kelly says, all lives matter, we all have red blood. I think the issue about all lives matter or Black Lives Matter is that the intention behind Black Lives Matter is that Black Lives Matter as well, not before we didn't matter, and now we're presenting that we do matter. That's why they say Black Lives Matter, because they say that before their lives didn't matter. Cuts to custom and border controls, asylum seeker courts and the police are reason for this, not the migrants. But these people going to these hotels will not say, well, we need to take a nuanced view of this. No. Is there, a deeper problem here? No. It's like foreign people, bad, in a hotel. They don't ask, okay, why are they staying in a hotel and not in the wider community? Why are they not, for example, here in my town, Anthony C., thank you very much for that super chat. If you have a comment, please stick it below. It was about 2 years ago, some migrants, when there was a huge number of migrants coming into Italy, some of them were hosted here in my town. There was a home that was normally used for people with disabilities. This was no longer used, so they were hosted in this town. And there were no problems, and nobody went there and banged on the door and said, who are you and why are you taking our money and whatever. Thankfully, because we don't have a politician in the area who's filming them, staying in this home. And now they have moved on, and I don't know where they have gone to. I don't know if they've been deported or what. France is a safe country. Why don't they claim asylum in France? Because they don't want to claim asylum in France. Because it's not about the safe country. It's about where do they want to live? They want to live in the UK. Not all of them want to live in the UK. These are the people who don't claim asylum in France. The vast majority of people in France who've come to France, for when they're escaping some torment in their own country, claim asylum in France. It's the very small number that remain that don't. And why don't they do it? It's because they want to live in the UK, because they have family or friends in the UK. Or because they speak English and they feel that if I move to the UK, I have a better chance of, having a life, contributing to society, if I speak the language. I'm not saying that everyone is perfect. Of course, there are bad eggs, but we don't create laws for exceptions. We create laws for the majority. And I think the majority of people claiming asylum in the UK is because they want to live in the UK. They want eventually maybe to make a life there. To contribute to society. Maybe I'm naive, but that's what I think. was some Tory making a fortune out of owning the hotel? That's an interesting point. So they would be okay, wouldn't it? That's an interesting point. Here in Italy, there were some people who were making a lot of money during the migrant crisis here in Italy, because the right wing were saying we don't want these people in our town. So they instead were distributing the people around the country, and then the people in the country were saying, there were people who were filling apartment blocks with migrants, with asylum seekers, because they were receiving, I think it was €35 per day. And what they would do is they would stuff 10 people in a room, give them, a kilo of pasta or rice to eat, and they would pocket the money. There was a huge amount of abuse going on. And because the government were desperate at the time, they overlooked most of the abuse. Daiko Coffee, thank you very much for that super chat. What's the future of the Republican Party? And Zenerman says, thank you again for that super chat. All asylum seekers welcome, as far as I'm concerned. Poor Mercy. This is a tragedy. So sad for her child. So I just respond to that first. This is a lady who wanted to work. She wasn't somebody who was, scamming the system. And there's so much lies and misinformation being published on the internet about asylum seekers that, they're put up in luxury apartments and they're given, hundreds of pounds every week or whatever to live the good life, and they're scamming the system, and they have like 25 children, or there's so much misinformation and lies about this that this is what happens. This poor lady was moved from pillar to post, and eventually she died. And this is somebody who came to the country believing that the people in the UK would look after her. It's very sad. Daiku Coffee says, so what's the future of the Republican Party? Unfortunately, I think Donald Trump has taken over the party for now. But I think the future of the future of the Republican Party could go in two directions. It could go down this conspiracy theory rabbit hole, where in 4 years' time, if Trump is removed from office in November, and Joe Biden wins, and in 2024 for the next election, you could have somebody worse than Trump. And I know it's difficult to imagine, how could somebody be worse than Trump? There are people worse than Trump. I see them on Facebook from time to time. These conspiracy theory people, these people who believe in all weird crap, who believe, once again, a certain religion, I'm not going to say, is behind all of this, who's funding all of this, who want to take away people's rights. Those types of people, they're not marching in uniforms. They never do now. That time has passed. Stop looking for people wearing, Hugo Boss uniforms. That's not going to happen. There are worse people than Trump. And they don't actually have to be very intelligent. The leaders don't actually have to be very intelligent either. Now, the other path that it could go down is that the Republican Party could try to run itself as the party of the working class. I know that's absurd at the moment, but the Democrats, the Republicans are good at branding the other side as being out of touch. And I think Joe Biden becoming president would sort of reinforce that. And it's possible that the Republicans could say, okay, let's run a working class candidate against a corporate, polished Democrat, someone who's in the Hollywood bubble or the Wall Street bubble or whatever. Not like Trump, because Trump was not working class, no class. But they could run somebody, I don't know, some working class person, and they could be successful. But we will see. Max, I think some deplorables have orange blood. Just one question, completely off topic. Why does Boris? I was going to say Boris Johnson. Why does Donald Trump wear this orange makeup? Why orange? It's like, you know, those Tupperwares that you put tomato sauce inside, and then you take it out of the microwave, and it's stained, permanently stained in orange. James, thank you very much for that super chat. Thanks for your content, Max. Had a difficult month with overtime at work, and you've helped alleviate some of the woe. Oh, thank you very much. Have some plonk on me and treat the hamsters. Thank you so much, James. You're too kind. That's very kind of you. It's amazing. It's probably the biggest super chat I've received so far. Thank you once again. This channel, if I'm able to help people, to de-stress a little, then it makes it's everything for me. When I started out, I didn't believe, I had no idea of how many people I'd reach and how many people I'd talk to all over the world. So it's a huge pleasure for me to receive these kind comments. It doesn't have to be a super chat, but if it does, that's even better. But it's great to receive so many positive comments. And the channel's at 32,000 viewers now. I can't wait to get past Phil. No. I can't wait to get maybe to 50,000 or beyond. It will be amazing. Okay, back to the comment. Donald Trump masks make you look. Donald Trump spray me orange and make sure my hair don't move. Oh my God. No behead. Spray me orange and make sure my hair doesn't move. I'm breaking again. Oh my God, no, he's beyond. He has broken satire. Satire is dead. The tangerine terror. The tangerine terror. I call him Agent Orange. But the difference between Donald Trump and Agent Orange actually went to Vietnam. Donald Trump didn't. I think it's what's Phil got? Farewell for Republican president, faith-based leadership and free muffins for every household. Orange on pizza, anyone? No orange on pizza. 60,000, yes. Competition is good for excellence and the economy, Max, you're right. Otherwise I get lazy, and that's not good. Or to be killing off his remaining brain cell. Squeeze got stuff. I call him 50 Shades of Pumpkin Spice. Oh my God. Do a podcast with Phil. I'd love to do a podcast with Phil. Maybe I will. We'll see. Ball is in his court. It's not my decision. 50 Shades of Pumpkin Spice. Oh my God. Okay. Let's move on. So no, as we're on the topic of Donald Trump, I just want to show you this video.
My fellow Americans, tonight with a heart.
So Donald Trump accepted the nomination for president, and as soon as he did, he attacked Joe Biden. Max, you should do a joint project with Phil Morehouse. Maybe I'll try to reach out to Phil. Maybe even one video or a live stream or something like that. Tom, thank you very much for that. Where in Ireland did you pick up your accent? Where did I pick up my accent? So I'm originally from Longford, but I think because I've been living in Italy for so long, I've lost some of it. Although some people are very quick to point out that I still have it when I say things like violence or violence. Now that I'm conscious of it, I'm probably not saying it in the original accent. So where are you from, Tom? Tom Kelly. So any relation to what was Father Jack's surname? His surname was Kelly, but I don't remember his first name. Paul Polyglot, thank you very much for that super chat. Oh my god. Hey Max, you should check out Trump's insane platform for 2020. How about I do it for the next live stream? I think I'll do it for the next live stream on Tuesday. So thank you very much for that super chat. Wow. Longford man, like Albert Rouse. Hey, calm down now. I'm not like Albert Reynolds, please. Longford, Christ, wouldn't have thought of it at all. Frank Kelly is. And they said there's no talent in Longford. I'm not there anymore, so it's true. So I definitely will check out Donald Trump's platform. It's like, Trump's platform is more Trump, yes. His name was Hackett. It's Jack Hackett. But Donald Trump's platform, violence. Donald Trump's platform for 2020. I will check it out, and I promise I will either do a video on it or I will we can look at it at the next stream, because it will be interesting. Defending the First Amendment by telling the Democrats to shut the hell up.
Full of gratitude and boundless optimism, I profoundly accept this nomination for President of the United States. This is the most important election in the history of our country.
Every election is the most important in the history of the nation.
Democrat National Convention, Joe Biden and his party repeated.
Okay, here, this is. Let's just listen to what he said here just for a moment, and then I'll point out my problem with it.
Of our country. At the Democrat National Convention, Joe Biden.
Is it not the Democratic National Convention? Or is it the Democrat National? But this, maybe he's saying it correctly. I don't know. But this is something that I notice Republicans do all the time. They call them the Democrat. The Democrat Party, when their name is the Democratic Party. Why do they call them the Democrat Party and not the Democratic Party? Is it like when, when Jacob Rees-Mogg calls Nicola Sturgeon's party the Scottish Nationalists Party? Is it a deliberate mistake, or is it just he doesn't know? Because it got a rat in it. Okay, thank you very much, dude. So that's why the Democrat Party. That's really, high level intellectual criticism there.
Biden and his party repeatedly assailed America as a land of racial, economic, and social injustice.
So he's right. There is racial, social, and economic injustice. How is it possible that Jeff Bezos has more money than anyone else could ever have, and could ever spend, I should say, and there are people also living in cardboard boxes in Los Angeles or in many cities around the United States? That is inequality. You can't say, oh, we don't have economic inequality.
So tonight I ask you a simple question. How can the Democrat Party ask to lead our country when it spends so much time tearing down our country?
This, once again, is this idea, how dare you insult the country by saying that the country is not perfect? But Donald Trump ran his entire campaign about how let's make America great again. Obviously, if you're saying it's great again, it means, well, now it's not great. So obviously you're tearing down the country. But Donald Trump was saying how, when he was running, how other countries were laughing at America. Yeah, they're laughing at us. I don't know who they are and what they're laughing at, but they're laughing at us. They're laughing at every other country. They're laughing at us. Trump tore down the country in 2016, yes. How come Bezos shoots the money into space while people starve to death? I think, dude, this is only acceptable or not possible for a period of time. Eventually, it will come crashing down. Eventually, people will say, enough is enough. Gated communities can only pay so much for security.
In recent months, our nation and the entire...
What is it with all the flags? Is one not enough? Today, actually, in my town, I was... Mrs. Max and I went to the center of our little village, and I noticed outside on the city hall, on the town hall, not city hall, town hall, it's a very small town, we had 3 flags. One is for the region, is the Venetian region flag, Veneto region flag, which is a very beautiful flag with the lion of St. Mark on it. The second flag was the Italian flag, and the third flag was the European Union flag. But Donald Trump has, 50 flags here? Is it like one for each state? Or is it one for each neuron?
Our planet has been struck by a new and powerful, invisible enemy. Like those brave Americans before us, we are meeting this challenge. We are delivering life-saving therapies.
It's like the thing you look. It's in everyone's home. That life-saving therapy is in your home. Just go to where you wash your dishes. I don't wash my dishes myself. I'm Donald Trump. I pay someone to do it. But then at the same time, I take it out of the taxpayer expenses account, tax-paid expenses account, taxpayers paid it. Okay, you know what I mean. And it's a chemical. It has a weird smell. It normally has one of those caps that I have difficulty to open. Children also have a problem opening it. Maybe we should make it easier for people like small children and me to open this type of bottle. And you just, inject it, and then you're good as new. Anthony C., thank you very much for that super chat. If they were laughing before, they were in stitches in 2020. You're great, Max. Oh my god. If they're laughing before. Oh Jesus. This guy cannot win, please. 17 flags each. Q is the 17th letter. That's interesting. Reminds me of Dr. Evil. I'm asking for $1 million. Where I'm in California, all the Trump supporters have multiple flags. Because it shows how patriot you are. One flag is not a true patriot. 5 flags is a real patriot. Some serious donating going on tonight. Yes, it's an amazing stream tonight, and I'm really grateful. I'm tremendously grateful, as Donald Trump would say, to all of the super chats tonight. You guys rock.
And we'll produce a vaccine before the end of the year, or maybe even sooner.
It's like Trump was told, look, we can have a vaccine. We may have a vaccine. Of course, we may have a vaccine, but having the vaccine doesn't mean that you have it produced so you can actually immunize people. But he's like, when can we have it? Probably at the end of the year. The end of the year? Yeah, like maybe December. December? No, we need to have it in October because my election is in November. We can't have the vaccine after. We need to have it before. I have to use it as a political tool. What are you talking about? You need to have the vaccine in October. It'd be my October surprise. Yes, it'll definitely be a surprise if it comes out in October. Surely he could get on the phone to Putin and say, Putin, can you send me some of that vaccine you have? And Putin replied, no, I need to get back to my daughter. She's turned into a horse.
Joe Biden's plan is not a solution to the virus, but rather it's a surrender to the virus. If we
so the virus is sitting in its cave and it's going, How can I defeat the Americans? If I attack them on the beaches, then they will surrender. Joe Biden will surrender. Is there like a battleship? Is it a battleship that the Japanese surrendered? Yeah, it was the Japanese surrendered. An unconditional surrender on a battleship. So we'll be seeing Joe Biden writing an undeclared... declaring an unconditional surrender to the virus. And the virus will be rubbing its hands with glee, saying, now I'm going to be able to impose my ideology upon your country.
Had listened to Joe, hundreds of thousands more Americans would have died.
Joe Biden was talking about wearing a mask. Joe Biden was talking about social distancing. You are against those things. And the science backs up the claim that if more people were wearing masks, you would have fewer cases and fewer deaths. It's just absolute crap.
Instead of following the science, Joe Biden wants to inflict a painful shutdown on the entire country.
The science said that it's necessary to shut down the country. He's like saying, we should have followed the science. What was the science, Donald? To not shut down the country? Just to let the virus spread? That was the scientific approach.
His shutdown would inflict unthinkable and lasting harm on our nation's children, families, and citizens of all backgrounds.
The country shutdown would have affected everyone who votes for me.
The cost of the Biden shutdown would be measured in increased drug overdoses, depression, alcohol addiction, suicides, heart attacks, economic...
Does the pandemic create problems? Yes, it does. By not doing anything, you're exposing hundreds of thousands of people to it, and then they're going to die, and they're going to spread it to others who are going to get sick, and they're not going to be able to go into hospital because you don't have a decent healthcare system. So you don't have a paid healthcare system that allows people to go into hospital without having to worry about having to pay for it.
Job loss, and much more. We will make sure our companies and jobs stay in our country, as I've already been doing for quite some time, if you've known.
Actually, no, outsourcing has increased under Donald Trump, not decreased. Outsourcing has increased since the early 2000s. But under Donald Trump, it has increased. It has not decreased. Donald Trump could write an executive order to say that all government vehicles are purchased from American producers. But he doesn't do that.
Noticed. Joe Biden's agenda is made in China. My agenda
Sorry, go on.
Is made in the USA.
Wow, with 200 likes, fantastic, guys, well done. So Joe Biden's campaign pledge is made in China. Donald Trump was praising China until the pandemic. Now it's a problem.
And I have done more in 3 years for the black community than Joe Biden has done in 47 years.
So I see there's one guy there. No, maybe he's not black. What have you done for the black community, Donald? He says, I have done this. I have done a lot. But he's not big on detail.
47 years. And when I'm reelected, the best is yet to come.
I think he's desperate. Ministerian says, don't inject bleach. Unless you're Donald Trump. No, don't inject bleach. Please don't. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. It will have very serious consequences. So don't do it. He could help Black Lives Matter with his racism. Orange is the new black. Where's Donald Trump's African American? Ivanka Trump has her product made in China. Yes. it's all just a pile of crap and smoke and mirrors. Joe Biden's agenda is made in China. It doesn't make one iota what he says. The fact is, lies and truth do not matter. Unfortunately, we're living in the post-truth era. I wonder what happens when instead of the Trump vaccine, people are given Sputnik. I wonder what they think they got the Russian spy vaccine. Don't swallow UV lamps. Don't swallow them. You could actually put them... No, never mind. Don't inject bleach and don't ram a UV light up your arse. No, he's desperate. He's playing this populist game. Joe Biden is a far left activist. He's under the control of the far left within the party. Joe Biden, far left. If Joe Biden was in Europe, he would be a conservative. The same, Obama would be somewhat in the same area, the same field, same place politically. Joe Biden, far left. He didn't say it in this video, but I have heard him criticize Joe Biden in that way. But it was entertaining. We have to say it's entertaining. Now, I just want to, just before we finish the stream, guys, we're towards the end of the stream tonight, but I want to show you another video. It's about back in Europe once again. We'll leave Joe Biden and Donald Trump for a bit. But this is Phil Hogan. So Phil Hogan was, until recently, he was, let me just increase it. No, this is fine. He was the European Trade Commissioner. And he did some very naughty things. He didn't respect COVID measures in Ireland, and he also was caught drink driving. And he was not drink driving. He was caught using his mobile phone while driving. And he was also doing something else, but I don't remember what it was. But he has decided, under a lot of pressure from politicians in Ireland, to resign. He was, yes, Golfgate. This is the scandal, Golfgate. He was attending a golf dinner, very very man of the people of him, a golf dinner with many other high-level celebrities and politicians, high-level politicians. And he was told that, allegedly, this is what he said, he was told that it would be COVID secure, but when he got there, he discovered it wasn't COVID secure, and allegedly he left as soon as possible, but it's not so clear whether he actually did leave as soon as possible. Parliamentary dinner at a golf club. Phil Hogan messed up, went to a party with 80 plus people. So I don't have a lot against Phil Hogan personally. I don't know him that well. I just know that he was the trade commissioner for the European Union, and he has a lot of experience, and he's known to be someone who's quite good at his job. But he broke the rules, and he is resigning, and he has resigned, and that's the correct approach. Unfortunately, if we look across the pond in the UK, Dominic Cummings did not resign. Dominic Cummings broke the rules, and then he was allowed to stay in his position, and he didn't even apologize. Like, Phil Hogan apologized, and then he resigned. Dominic Cummings didn't even apologize. Dominic Cummings believes he's above the law, and the way he's acted proves that he is above the law in a sense. And the way he sat in that rose garden, which is normally reserved for senior politicians in government, from the government, was just to show the public, I am your boss, so sit the F down and shut the F up. But let's see what it says here about Mr. Hogan.
After a week of negative headlines, an ever-changing story and the loss of support from the Irish government, Phil Hogan has called it a day. After less than a year in the role, Hogan announced his resignation last night. It comes amid pressure on the European Commission President for him to step down. And she now says it's up to the Irish government to propose a new candidate.
Why? This is not related to what's happened. Do you see what she did there? She walked in wearing a mask, she took off the mask, and she began to speak. She's about to speak now. Why? Boris Johnson never does anything like this. Matt Hancock never does anything like this. Why not? I'm not trying to say that, Ursula von der Leyen is a fantastic person or whatever, but this is the right approach to have. Show the public that wearing masks is important. Show the public that these procedures are important. Maybe outside of there, she doesn't do this. But for the public, she has to reinforce this idea that it's important to wear a mask, especially as we're looking at a possible resurgence of the pandemic. Anyway.
It is up now to the Irish government to present suitable candidates for Commissioner of Irish nationality. Executive Vice President Valdis Dombrovskis will assume ad interim responsibilities for trade matters, and at the later stage, I will decide on the final allocation of portfolios in the College of Commissioners. Thank you.
Hogan began his working life managing a farm in rural Ireland before entering politics, becoming a government minister in Dublin in the mid-90s. But it was in 2014 that he moved to Brussels, becoming Agricultural Commissioner under Jean-Claude Juncker, and proving to be one of Ireland's key voices during the Brexit negotiations. Highly regarded, Hogan was promoted to one of the EU's most powerful positions as Trade Commissioner under Ursula von der Leyen. But his resignation now presents a new problem for the Commission President, trying to replace him, which one European law expert says will give her an unwanted headache.
This certainly will become a headache for von der Leyen and for the new Commission, because this will lead to a reshuffle of her college. This is very likely. It seems quite improbable that Ireland will be able to keep its own portfolio, and this might push some other commissioners coming from other countries to have to give up on their own current portfolio and therefore be ready to take over the trade portfolio. This story,
which would be a big problem for them, because it's CJM, thank you very much for that super chat. Sorry, I didn't see it. I was watching the video. Thank you very much for that. Great live stream. Thanks. Great live stream, Max. Thanks to you so much for that super chat, CJM. But it's very difficult for someone to take over that position because it's so weighty. There's so much information to digest. Great Irish accent. I hope you're not talking about me. I think this guy is Italian. He's not. But it's I got distracted. Damn it, Jesus, you missed an opportunity to Max. But this position is very difficult to take over. Now, I think it would be interesting, and I was talking a little bit about it, I mentioned it on Discord, was the idea that it would be interesting if the position was handed to a French man or woman, or a German man or woman. I don't think the Brexiteers would be too happy if a French or German trade commissioner was appointed. They would be quite angry with that, I think. I don't know who the Brexiteers hate more, the Germans or the French. Isn't it meaningless to talk about right-leaning and left-leaning countries or parties? Diddly-mus says. I've heard some leftists say that they can't be left and support capitalism, which would disqualify the whole West. Now, I'm not a fan of labels, so this idea of left and right, it's relative. If you look at the United States, for example, it's they'll use the term left and right when they're talking more about what we in Europe would refer to as centre right and right wing or hard right. So I don't see really the usefulness of these terms, because of course someone may say there, and this was a case in the United States, for example, private in German, in public the French, about hating more. This problem in the United States, for example, many people will say, yeah, I think we should support Medicare for all, for example. And then when they're asked, what's your political allegiance, they will say, oh, well, I'm a conservative. When I hear that, I go like this. How can someone be, a conservative, would say I'm conservative, but I support allowing everyone to have decent healthcare? In the sense that most Americans would say, well, that's a socialist idea. That's not something that conservatives would support. So capitalism isn't left or right. It's just accumulation of capital and free competition with it. I agree. It's not. I think we're too hung up on certain labels of left or right. When there's, you'll find people who would say they're on the left. One example was here in Italy. I know I have a friend of mine who works for a shop, and she told me that her boss is the owner of the store, who is a slave driver, is a member of the Communist Party in Italy. So he's a member of the Communist Party. He owns a store. He has private staff. It's a private store with staff, and he's a slave driver. And they're not allowed to form a union, but he's a member of the Communist Party. So once again, labels don't really serve a great purpose. They're useful for politicians, maybe, but in reality, they don't serve a great purpose in understanding what people really care about.
The story is not over and will keep us busy for the next few weeks.
Von der Leyen will be wanting to close the door on this matter as soon as possible. Darren McCaffrey, Euronews, in Brussels.
Darren McCaffrey's probably Irish. Doesn't have a very strong accent though. But this is a headache for von der Leyen, and it couldn't have come at a worse time. They want to close this whole Brexit mess. They want to move on. They have bigger issues to deal with, and I don't see them filling Phil Hogan's shoes very quickly. Now allegedly there are some people lined up within from the Irish government, ex ministers, but we'll see if they actually cut it. I think it's a huge role to take over. And as the video has said, he had built his way up to that. He had arrived at that level over years and even decades. So we'll see. I would like to see someone from Germany or France take over, just to piss off the Brexiteers. Angela Merkel's brother or something like that. They hate her so much. It would be funny if it was some relative of hers. I think desperation is an understatement, Max. Brexit was decided years ago. It cost me lots of hair though. Damn those lizards. Not sure what you're talking about. Great show. Need to leave. Thank you, Max. Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you so much for all those super chats, and have a great night. Hope stay safe. And on those words, we're almost at the end of the stream tonight. But before we end the stream, as always, we have our one for the road. Which one? I think we'll do this one. So this is I'm a big fan of Janie. So here we are.
Hi there, Nicola here.
So Nicola Sturgeon gives her her press conference about rugby, football, and curtain twitchers. Not sure what that is. So let's hear what she has to say.
I'm wearing my wee red jacket that I got for our Chantel's dance party. If you've been following my story on the TikTok, yes, we did manage to get a couple of rolls of Anaglypta. We're going up to Big Claire Kelly's house this week, and I'm going to do a wee coat of paint on it, because I'm good at that as well. Talking about going to people's houses, we've been having fucking house parties again, haven't you? And the police are going to have to get involved. We can't be having the house parties. We can't be having all the shite and shenanigans. And the good news is the weather's like the Arctic Circle, so we won't have the bampots in the park, all drunk, rolling about with their taps off, breathing into each other's fucking faces. Right, over to some questions and see what's happening. Right, I'm trying to find a bit of paper with a man that can ask me a question about football. Oh, there it's there.
Is it because, for example, if Celtic were to be given the go-ahead, you're worried that could upset other teams?
Oh, it's like Twitter in real life. Listen, nobody's getting preferential treatment to rugby fans. The rugby is going ahead just so as we can do a wee trial run and see what's happening, because we're in the middle of a pandemic. I don't know if you actually know, right? But see the ball, the shape of the ball, the virus doesn't give a fuck about the shape of the ball. All sports are going to be affected. We're trying our best here.
Can you hear me?
No. Bye. Next.
And secondly, are you encouraging people in Scotland to become a nation of curtain twitchers?
Curtain twitching? Sounds very sexual for a young lad to be coming out with that shenanigans. I used to be in a band called Kate and the Curtain Twitchers back in the 80s. We did all the hits of Bananarama. We used to tour the whole of Bo'ness and Falkirk area. Listen, it's been one of the weeks. I'm going to have to get myself together and go. Make sure you're wearing your emotional life jacket and keep your family afloat. Keep your hands clean, wear a mask, don't go into crowded places, stop fucking arguing with everybody and having house parties. You know the shite that it's causing. Right, I'm going to go to Jeanette's, get a big bottle of Prosecco. Where's my clicky pen? Feet are killing me. Frank, get the door. I want a wee rolling corned beef today. Come on, Sharon. My name's actually...
Okay, fantastic. Thanks. A big thanks to everyone who's come on the stream tonight. It was a pleasure. It was probably one of the best streams ever. Thanks to all of the super chats. A big thank you to everyone who sent a super chat. A big thank you to all of the mods who have moderated, kept the stream on the straight and narrow. And a thank to everyone who has commented, liked the stream, commented on the channel videos. It's been a great stream tonight. Fantastic. I don't know what to say. I'm speechless for a change. So thank you all for coming on the stream. I wish everyone a great weekend, but remember to wash those hands, wear that mask, maintain social distancing, and as Boris Johnson says, stay safe. And I'll see all of you next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel at 9:30 p.m. British summertime. So have a great weekend, guys, and I'll see you soon. And if anyone wants to jump on to Patreon and become and then jump on to Discord, you're welcome, because after the stream we always have our pizza and pineapple fair pizza and pineapple party, I should say. So have a great weekend, guys. I'll see you soon. Have a good one. Good night.